Congressman Issa, isn't mass illegal immigration part of the Cloward Piven strategy to overwhelm the state resources? And what are you doing today to stop illegal immigration?
Well, I kind of think I sort of answered that, but let's understand, there's a number of things we can do federally. We've done most of them. There are good federal laws. And by the way, there are international agreements. Remain in Mexico isn't some sort of a fancy new thing done by President Trump. He asked a question. Under international law, we have an agreement with Mexico for Mexicans to remain in Mexico and make application. Under international law, if you come to a country and it's not your first country, you have passed up the first country, that was where you're supposed to make application. Remain in Mexico simply recognizes that if you're Venezuelan, you pass through another country coming to the United States, and you should have made application there, and therefore you remain in Mexico. So I'm not pushing back and saying there aren't possible additional laws. There are lots of things we can put stronger penalties on. But right now, getting the president to faithfully do what he is supposed to do, and without some sort of a compromise deal that gives him comprehensive immigration reform or any of the other crap he's going to ask for, is critical, because he hasn't done what he could do under the law, and President Trump's policies proved it, and his policies proved that he could simply ignore those policies and laws.
Thank you. Congressman Issa, the news said that the VA is now giving illegal aliens preferential treatment over our vets for medical care. Can you stop this?
I'm going to be honest, they have no right to do it unless the person's a veteran. Now, if somebody served in the military and we're still calling them an illegal alien, that sort of surprises me. The VA has no mandate except to take care of those who have served and been, honorable or general discharge. So I'll look into it, but to be honest, it would surprise me. Now, I will tell you, there are a lot of things wrong at the La Jolla VA, including the fact that they're constantly dancing around how they get more perks for their people and keep growing it. Well, in fact, they're still not living up to the mandate of timely treatment for our soldiers, sailors, and Marines who have PTSD and other challenges. They have a mandate to either treat them within, I'd say 7 days, they have to be able to get them in, and even faster if they're in desperation. And they're not doing it. They're not even hitting the 30 days, and they're supposed to then give them a civilian outsource, in other words, pay for them to go to somebody else if they can't bring them in. And we're pushing hard to get that undone. But this one, I have to be honest, I can't understand how they would be able to do it, but I'll look into it.
Thank you. If you are a conservative, how can you justify voting for the last CR?
That's a great question. CR, continuing resolution. You know what's interesting is the man who never voted for those CRs and who bashed them is now Speaker, a member of the Freedom Caucus. Look, I'm going to tell everybody, given the choice of shutting down the government, knowing that we're going to pay people to do nothing, and we're not going to save a penny, or doing a short-term CR and bringing up again and again actual legislation, actual appropriation bills that do save money, I have to be right where Mike Johnson and the rest of us, what I would call mainstream conservatives, are. Now, I'm going to say something that's not popular here. It's pretty easy to vote no, knowing you'll get a yes. It's pretty easy to be the guy or gal that says, oh yeah, I'll never vote for that, knowing that somebody else has to take the hard vote. And some of those people that have to take the hard vote are in seats like Valadeo, where Biden won by double digits. So I'm in a safe seat. Am I going to do the right thing on behalf of a conservative speaker, a member of the Freedom Caucus, who says we need to save the money by regular order? Now, I'm answering more of the question that was asked. But I'll tell you, when I say that Republicans need to get together, the Matt Gaetzes and the Marjorie Taylors bless their hearts, they sound great. But when they vote against a rule so that we can actually have a vote on appropriations to lower the amount we're giving to this administration and to take the fat that they put in out, then quite frankly, they're not being constructive, they're not being productive. You sent me to Washington, not just between 2000 and 2018, but you sent me back again to do additional work that I've learned over those first 18 years and that I learned in the 2 years I was working for President Trump. And one of them is we gain nothing by closing down the government unless we can tell the American people why we're doing it, because we know that every single person who's not working will get paid, and it'll actually cost us money. So I'm willing to close down the government. I'm willing to close down the government for a reason I can tell the American people it was worth the fight. Now, closing down the government to seal the border is worthwhile. Closing down the government because, quote, tell me what it was. Tell me what the CR did wrong, other than we had voted for a number of bills, including one that, for whatever reason, a handful of my fellow Republicans wouldn't vote for the rule. And understand, I was in Congress from 2001 to 2019, and not one time when Republicans are in the majority or when Democrats are in the majority did the rule get voted down. You don't vote down the rule because you wrote the rule, including 3 Freedom Caucus conservatives on the Rules Committee. It's sort of amazing to me that Thomas Massey helped write a rule and then somebody says, well, it's not good enough. It's not because of the rule. They're voting it down because they actually don't want to have a vote where we didn't get everything we wanted, but we reduced the size of government and we cut back this president. If we pass every one of those appropriations in regular order and force the Senate to swallow it, we will save over $150 billion. We will cut off the slush fund this president is using. Now, will we accomplish everything? No. Will the Senate try to cram us because Schumer does that? Absolutely. But we don't even get to have that fight unless we do those separate pieces of appropriation. And I hate voting for CRs because every CR is a waste, and particularly for those of us who care about the military, every CR means that the new military program we can't put money into, and the one we want to take money out of will continue getting funded.
Okay, Congressman Issa, as a representative of we the people of the U.S., how is going to Davos, attending the World Economic Forum meetings, helping you represent your district?
I was going to Israel and looking at the kill zones where over 1,000 Israelis were killed. How is that representing my district? My job is a global job. My job is to look at everywhere we spend money and every deal we make and everything we're involved in, and to be able to bring that information back. This isn't the first or second or third time I've gone to the World Economic Forum. And yes, I had some meetings there that quite frankly I could have had back here, including with the president of Qualcomm. The reason I go to Davos though, and the reason the president of Heritage went to Davos, and the reason the new president of Argentina went to Davos and got booed, and even the founder of the World Economic Forum walked out on him, is because if conservatives don't show up and tell them these people on many and a great many of their issues are full of crap, then who's going to say it? I got to tell you, Al Gore does not like seeing me at Davos. And it's okay because I don't like seeing him. But they are there and they are speaking, and they will not have the other side heard unless we go. And because Republicans are in the majority, I got to pick who went to Davos. I got to be there. Now, in the Senate, there were 2 senators that went. One was a Republican, one was a Democrat. I didn't get to pick that. But I did get to go and pick it. I did get to take people and send a message. And I will tell you, if the president of Heritage will go and tell them they're wrong on their policies, then why wouldn't as many of us as we could stand up at those forums and tell them there's another side, and the other side is over half of the world's population that knows those people and their globalist plans are wrong. those plans. And by the way, Hamas was represented there, Iran was represented there. I've got to tell you, I like nothing more than pushing back on the fact that that organization thought that they had to have people represented that are in fact murdering Americans, and I said so.
Thank you. All right, this question came up several times from the audience, and I think you touched on it earlier. It says, why did you not vote to impeach Mayorkas the first time around, and will you vote to impeach Mayorkas the second time around?
Thank God this is such a smart group. It's a great question, and it's a very hard question to get publicly understood, but I'll make it very simple. Marjorie Taylor Greene stayed up all night and wrote a piece of junk impeachment. And she's a great lady, and she's smart. But she was so interested in being there impeaching, when in fact we had already sent an earlier impeachment bill to the committee she sits on, the Homeland Security Committee, the committee headed by Chairman Mark Green. It was being researched. They had gone through the process. They were holding hearings. They had made it clear they would be bringing articles of impeachment on Mayorkas. However, when you write an article of impeachment, there are two things you have to do. One of them is it has to allege impeachable offenses. The other one, and I'll paraphrase the late Margaret Thatcher, who said, you have to win the debate before you win the vote. If I had voted yes, or if I had voted not to send it to committee, because we didn't actually vote on impeachment, but we did vote on, does her impeachment vote go to committee, or is it immediately considered on the floor? If I had voted the other way, along with the other chairman, because it was members of the leadership that did the thing of sending it to committee, if I had done that, we would have had an up or down vote that day on Mayorkas. Basically no debate, immediate consideration, as is with no amendment. She didn't allege an impeachable offense. Jonathan Turley in the hearings said, there are no impeachable offenses there. Maladministration is not an impeachable offense. Our founding fathers considered it and rejected it. And maladministration, by the way, is a really great word for you didn't do your job. Mayorkas has done his job. He's deliberately done the bidding of this president, and that is wrong, and then he lied about it. So, Homeland Security, including the vote by Marjorie Taylor Greene, will come out to the floor. Of course I'll vote for impeaching him, but I've got to have an impeachable offense. And the simple reason is, if there's no impeachable offense, and we vote it out of the House, the Senate says there's no impeachable offense, they don't even take it up. The last thing we want to do is look foolish and have the Senate, including Senate Republicans probably, have an excuse not to vote it. We want to have that debate. We want to have the facts put out. We want to have his perjury understood. We want to have people understand that the open border is not an accident. It's not a lack of laws. So, do I like Marjorie? I like her a lot. Does she do these things sometimes because it's really good for her social media and because it makes her feel good? Yes. But I know you have people come up here all the time that are going to be legislators, and they tell you, I'm going to change this, and this is going to change, and I'm going to do it on day one. That is such bullcrap. I've got to get 218 votes to send something to the Senate, and I got to make the Senate look really bad if they don't vote for it. Because the Senate normally is really bad unless you embarrass them. That's the job you sent me back to do, is to accomplish things. Now, I don't mind a message. I don't mind having something on the floor that isn't going to become law, but that's just messaging, and that's great. Impeaching Mayorkas has to be messaging that doesn't die in the Senate. We are bringing it up. If it doesn't come up this week, I will be signing up to force it to the floor, because I want that more than, the 8 of us who voted to send it to committee, trust me, all 8 of us want that vote back again, because we've been catching a lot of shit for doing what we knew was right, what we were told by the experts was right. And I've been around long enough. I helped take out a governor in 2003. I took on Barack Obama so much so he came out and personally campaigned against me in 2016. Everyone that knows me knows I don't run from a fight, I run toward a fight. But I want to win the fight because I want you to win the fight.